Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action, and today we're back with cute, cuddly SKARSNIK and Gobbly Gobbler. Gonna be taking on the Empire, and yeah, definitely in for a great time here. We've got a beautiful force of Greenskins. This replay submitted by SladeX, and very interesting to note, SladeX, one of the better Greenskins players I know of, rather, and he's brought SKARSNIK here, which is definitely very interesting. Granted, SKARSNIK has no abilities whatsoever, but in terms of the rest of the front line here, we've got Black Orcs mixed in with some Savage Orcs, 8 Peak Loonies, more Savage Orcs and Gobos out to the flanks. Got the Mangy Marauders here, some Spider Riders in support, as well as the Broken Tusk Mob, Orc Air Boys, Night Goblin Archers, of course the Rusty Airs, and a Night Goblin Shaman here. For the Empire, we've got 2 Pistoliers, much approved, 3 swordsmen, couple of great swords, a bright wizard here, popping fireball on SKARSNIK. We've also got some crossbowmen, great swords, 3 spearmen, Volkmar the Grim leading the way on his chariot, looking ever so epic. We've also got some more Spider Riders in the back. Looks like some Knights of the Blazing Sun as well. So yeah, Pistolier is going to be moving up, doing some skirmish in the initial phase here, getting some good Overwatch fire on those Black Orcs. You can see the crossbowmen also firing in. Don't have the best AP values, but this amount of concentrated fire here will certainly do quite a bit of damage, despite the armor of the Black Orcs there. So pretty good stuff. You can see the Spider Riders also maneuvering up and around to get in on a full surround here. And the Knights of the Blazing Sun are going to charge in. Gobos and Savage Orcs having come into melee against the infantry here. They are going to do quite a bit of damage to the Savage Orcs on the charge, but you can see the Spider Riders are on their way, and the Wa has not yet been popped, very importantly. Although the frontline engagement has got underway here, you can see the Black Orcs and state troops duking it out here. Now the Wa being popped, and you can see up on the high ground, those Spider Riders are charging in. Volkmar is charging in all across the line, just massive escalation. These Spider Riders are coming in as well. The Pistoliers are going to have to be careful they don't get caught up too hard. Oh, looks like the Spider Riders might have got stopped up by the state troops just before actually making contact there. But those state troops are definitely getting pounded pretty hard in the front line. Volkmar's trying to support here, doing a pretty good job. The chariot and the leadership damage and everything actually able to terrify away those nasty skulkers. But you can see up on the high ground here that the Knights of the Blazing Sun have taken a ton of damage from those Spider Riders, which is super cost inefficient, and now the Broken Tusk Mob just going to move in and clean them up. So the Ard lads here getting in on the Ponzi Knights and just lancing them down here. Definitely getting lanced as well. Looks like some state troop spearmen going to come support. Probably a little bit too late to save those Knights of the Blazing Sun, but hopefully they'll at least be able to do some damage there to the Broken Tusk Mob. Meanwhile, in the center line, Volkmar got caught up here on some Black Orcs. SKARSNIK making his way over as well. SKARSNIK does have anti-large AP as well as poison, so he can definitely get in here and do some good work against Volkmar's chariot. Doesn't have the best combat stats in the world, but you don't really need that great of combat stats to take on a chariot lord. Well, certain chariot lords, I'll say. But yeah, Volkmar taking a ton of damage here. You can see the regrouped Skulkers running in as well. And between the poison and the smoke bomb, Volkmar's down to only 9 speed, so there's no way for him to escape this, really. SKARSNIK's just going to be able to continue to poke and prod at the wheels. You know, Gobbler's going to be, gnawing at the rims and trying to eat these little banners on the back. But yeah, Volkmar does manage to start to squeak away there, but he will continue to take Overwatch fire from those Orc Air Boys, who have pretty decent AP values, all things considered. And SKARSNIK also pushing through with his high mass, getting some good hits there. Volkmar down to only 500 HP. Obviously, he does regenerate with that Jade Griffin. But in the back line, you can see major chaos for the Empire, which is definitely not great. These crossbowmen having a hard time staying online, but at the same time, Pistoliers and Spearmen doing a decent job trying to resecure here, but these Pistoliers definitely need to regroup. They could even charge in melee against like these Mangy Marauders, for example. But Savage Orcs helping to clean up the flanks. Actually, Spearmen holding out decently well there, all things considered. Volkmar did manage to escape that bad situation, though, and get SKARSNIK hooked on some great swords. He probably will be able to regenerate some HP, but you can see the terror actually helps quite a bit as the Broken Tusk Mob and the Spider Riders just immediately get terrified by Volkmar. So I definitely like the pick of Volkmar in this matchup. I do think that they're potentially better picks, but you can see a banishment being dropped in the back line here is actually going to catch up these regrouping Black Orcs. Other than that, though, really not going to do too much. Might get back into these Orc Air boys, but yeah, probably not a lot at the end of the day. I don't think either of those banishments got too many kills, but Volkmar up to 73, that's not too bad. You can see some fat Pistoliers charging in here. Well, they're not necessarily fat, but the charge itself is fat. They're going to get in here, start to wreck these Mangy Marauders, despite them being a regiment of renown and everything. You know, Pistoliers will do decently well, especially in a tattered melee like this with some proper support. Spider Riders coming in here and getting in on the crossbowmen. And you can see more Savage Orcs in the front line trying to clean up these swordsmen here. So definitely a very pitched late game engagement here. SKARSNIK helping to support against the Sigmar Sons there, trying to finish them off. We've got Orc Air Boys also pouring in some fire as well. Night Goblin Shaman getting pursued by Greatswords, definitely not the best. But another Waaagh being popped globally. And yeah, that speed and charge bonus is going to come in and start to play a factor, as well as the melee attack, of course. You can see the Spearmen engaged against Broken Tusk Mob. Definitely not the best for the Supig boys, but, you know, yeah, you take what you can get. Crossbowmen also firing in on some Savage Orcs and some Spider Riders. Spider Riders taking more Overwatch fire from Pistoliers, but yeah, going to get back and get into those crossbowmen there. Meanwhile, all across the field, you can see Great Swords in a little bit of a crossfire situation. Definitely not the best. They're going to give up their leadership relatively soon. Things looking pretty good for the Greenskins at this point. But Volkmar still on the field, still got plenty of healing cap left, and of course is a big, scary chariot, so we'll see. Go ahead and fast forward a little bit through this mid-game as some units kind of get cleaned up in the periphery. Those Knights of the Blazing Sun did manage to regroup, and it does look like chase off a few units there on the side. SKARSNIK has a little bit of a force right here that's crumbling, but you know, he's holding out against these state troops at the very least, even if the boys won't. Looks like some Spider Riders going to come in for a final supporting charge as well. They are very, very low, but all of this is going to allow these Orc Air Boys to use up the rest of their ammunition and then come in melee in the late game. And Orc Air Boys are actually not too terrible in melee. If we have a look at their stats here, these guys just picked up an XP Chevron. They have 24 attack, 15 defense. At that point with, 34 weapon strength, so honestly not terrible, especially in a pitched late game engagement against very, you know, tired or exhausted state troops. But these swordsmen taking some Overwatch fire here. Knights of the Blazing Sun also taking a little bit of Overwatch fire here. One of them does manage to actually get into the Orc Air Boys, but... oh, there we go. One kill. Let's see. Let's see how many this guy can get. Oh, he's getting tapped. Oh, that doesn't count. That was your friend. There we go. Oh, one more before he gets taken down there by the Orc Air Boy. And the last couple will flee. These Spider Riders did manage to hold up their leadership, but Pistoliers helping to see off some more Savage Orcs. So things are looking a little bit more even in the late game as Volkmar is able to come back in. Another Waaagh, though. SKARSNIK has been saturated in melee pretty much this whole time, able to continue to get those nice timing pushes. But Black Orcs coming in, Nasty Skulkers coming in. Spearmen are going to engage in these Orc Air Boys melee. And like I said, them being decent in combat means they could probably stand and fight here, but it does look like they're going to try and pull back and conserve the last of their ammunition here and pull in some of these other melee units to fight, which obviously makes sense. And yeah, Goblins continuing to fight out here. They are going to get routed off by Volkmar, no doubt. But we'll fast forward a little bit more as this mid-game engagement plays out. Or mid-game. Late game, I should say. But yeah, Pistolier is going to charge in. They'll do okay against Orc Air Boys, but again, the Orc Air Boys' decent combat stats will mean that they'll be able to respond in kind here. So pretty soon Volkmar should be able to get taken down. We'll see. He's a little bit caught up here. Maybe a smoke bomb with SKARSNIK's poison could stop him up, but the smoke bomb, I haven't seen it be popped here. Was it popped? It does look like it was popped, actually. So Volkmar now at his healing cap, going to take some hits as well from SKARSNIK and Gobla. So definitely a rough time for old Volkmar. He does manage to chase off a few troops there, but meanwhile, Orc Air Boys chasing off Pistoliers, and at this point it's going to be very, very close in terms of the balance of power. Still dead even, but let's fast forward a little bit as these Orc Air Boys move through, and with the support of the Goblins, try and chase off the last of these crossbowmen. And then, yeah, Volkmar himself also going to get taken down. Every hit he takes from SKARSNIK does tip the balance of power more and more, and eventually he's just going to have to get in there and fight it out. So Yeah, those crossbowmen, though, using up the last of their ammo, running in against Orc Air Boys, going to get taken down, and SKARSNIK going to make his final stand. You can see SKARSNIK's mass is absolutely insane, and the fact that he actually can't get knocked over because of Gobla means that he's actually pretty good at stopping up Chariot Lords like this. So Volkmar gets taken down, and with that, it's going to be victory for the Greenskins. And I know, guys, I know I cast Empire wins usually, but you gotta give me a couple here. That was an excellent replay from SladeX. Big thanks for submitting that one. Huge fan of anytime we can see SKARSNIK, especially against a very good player. Kyalanala I've seen play before, certainly a decent player. And so this build, I have to say, nice and wide, well balanced. A lot of different aspects that I like quite a bit. Black Orcs in the front line, just lawn mowing through those state troops with the Savage Orcs as well. The Orc Air Boys also a bit of a hidden gem. I know I see SladeX bring these guys pretty frequently. I don't see too many other people bring them. I know a few of you other guys are fans, but yeah, Orc Air Boys, huge fan. Very underrated unit, and they did excellently here. Spider Rider Archers also did, not archers, but regular Spider Riders also did very well as well. And 70 kills on Broken Tusk Mob, 93 on a regular unit of Goblins is not bad at all. That's very cost effective. On the flip side, Volkmar the Grim, obviously an absolute powerhouse in this matchup, 132 kills. Personally, if I'm going with a Volkmar fire build, sometimes I like to take the Templehof Luminarch just to have some sniping fun. But I don't know if that would have worked super well because the Greenskins had such a wide build here. But if you were to want to really optimize this, I think you honestly just take Balthazar Gelt up in the air rather than doing this sort of fire thing. That would allow you to go a little bit more elite and a little bit wider in certain aspects of your army because Balthazar's cheaper, plus you wouldn't have to bring the Fire Wizard, so you could take like maybe 3 to 4 units of Knights, including the Royal Altar of Griffites, rather than taking, you know, these guys right here. But just a few thoughts. Greatsword's also doing pretty decently, 81 kills. The rest of the state troops kind of just got taken to Pound Town, but that's more or less what you would expect from that. Just generally, though, like I said, I think I would say just from a purely competitive standpoint, you're probably going to be better off with Balthazar Gelt in that matchup. Certainly, I'm a huge fan of Volkmar, very thematic, but really, to optimize things, I would think you want to cut metal shifting, maybe even cut evasion, because up in the air you're going to be relatively safe. If your opponent does happen to bring Azag, you can kind of counter him with magic and some other things there. So you can see Volkmar's relatively cheap here, and that is going to allow us to go nice and wide with our army. So yeah, a couple great swords, definitely a good idea. I'm a huge fan of the Warrior Priest, as you guys know as well. We're also going to grab the Royal Altar of Griffites here, and then plenty of state troops. Course, despite the fact that they kind of got lawnmowered there. I mean, they're still certainly effective against the lower tier Greenskin infantry, I would say. Pistoliers, definitely a fan. Can't leave home without my Pistoliers. And whoops, I'm gonna grab some Empire Knights here as well. So something like this I think might be a tiny bit better. It's tough to say. It actually is the same number of units at the end of the day, but you just have a little bit more heavy cavalry and the Lord sniping that the Greenskins are relatively vulnerable to in the final transmutation, of course. You could also layer in maybe a Plague of Rust with some of the leftover funds you have. Maybe you come in here and grab like Shield of Faith, you know, to help protect the Royal Altar of Griffites, since you don't have any healing. I think that might honestly be slightly better, but let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. It certainly is a classic matchup, orcs versus humans, you know, going back all the way to the beginning of time, basically. So, super fun battle and matchup. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.